30 Odd Minutes is sponsored in part by Digital Dowsing. Who are you powered by?
For the next 30 minutes, we will explore the unexplained. From mysteries beyond our galaxy to ghostly phenomena in our own backyard. We will dive into our psychic abilities and explore everything from conspiracies to the just plain weird. Welcome to 30 Odd Minutes. If the truth is out there, we will find it. But only by sheer accident.
All right, welcome to 30 Odd Minutes Live. You guys are very helpful. Thank you so much. I am Jeff Belanger, and each week we pilot the mothership across space and time to bring you stories of the weird, the unusual, the paranormal, and everything in between. And we are live at Parafest 2013 at the Sands Casino in beautiful Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. And we've got a distinguished panel that I would like to introduce. Bethlehem?
It's Bethlehem for the locals.
Bethlehem for the locals. Like Bedlam, but different. So I'd like to introduce the panel. Grant, that's Mike. Yeah. And Katrina, this is Bobby.
Oh yeah, we met.
Yeah.
It's like our shirts.
Michael, Bobby.
Pleasure.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. All right, let's hit right down the line. From Oddities on the Science Channel, and of course, Obscura Antiques, Mike Zohn. From a show called Ghost Hunters on the Sci-Fi Channel, and Rather Dashing Games.
Wow, thank you.
Grant Wilson. From The Hills Have Eyes, Devil's Rejects, and a million other classic horror movies, please welcome Michael Berryman. And from Final Destination, Being Human, Bobby Campo. And from Paranormal State, and now host of Real Fear on Chiller Channel, please welcome Katrina Weidman. All right. Now, as I mentioned, each week, we are on a spaceship. That's where we broadcast from. I got the mothership outside. It's cloaked. I'm just going to check in with my guys. Guys,
Jeff.
On?
Hey, Jeff. I think we're in trouble. We're running low on fuel, and we're barely hovering over Bethlehem here, and we're about to decloak.
All right. So, do you think maybe we can find some gas?
I don't think we've ever gassed this thing up. Matter of fact, Jeff, I don't think I even know what it runs on.
Oh. Well, that's trouble. I guess they're going to have to look into that, and we'll check back in with them later. All right, that's Matt and Andrew on the mothership, cloaked outside. If you see any strange lights, that's us. Don't panic. All right. So, here's a funny thing.
Don't panic.
Don't panic.
So nervous.
Grant, let's start with Grant Wilson, because years ago, this was one of the gags that made 30 Odd Minutes. Early on, we've done 140 missions so far. And this is one we pulled on Grant very early on. So let's start with this.
One question interview.
We're here with Grant Wilson, one of the stars of the hit sci-fi show Ghost Hunters. Grant Wilson, have you ever done a one-question interview before? No. Thanks. He was great, wasn't he? I mean, yeah, that's what I love. You don't waste a lot of words. And so now, Grant, we get to, we've asked you follow-ups in the past too, and now we get to talk to you. So first of all, how's life been outside of Ghost Hunters?
Life has been fantastic.
Good.
I want to just, if I can, take a moment to dispel a few rumors. Everyone thought I had cancer, I got divorced, or Jay and I had a falling out, or I got abducted by aliens. Whatever, you name it. And no, I just had a great time. I was watching my kids grow up and just had to get home, my wife and kids, and I've been having a great time. Doing art, writing music, writing books,
right?
All kinds of stuff. Rather Dashing Games, making more games too.
Dwarven Miner, the new game, it's awesome. And it's cool to see you doing good stuff. And thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to have a theme to the show. I want to talk about fear. what we're afraid of, and why we kind of like fear in general, because we've got, what a cross-section, oddities, ghosts, horror, more horror and supernatural and stuff, more paranormal, and so let's mix all these in a blender, and I want to start down the line. Mike, on Oddities, you guys get some weird shit, let's be honest, right?
Mildly, yes.
Some very strange stuff. Anything come through the door that scares you, that you say, okay, is this even legal?
New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, scary as shit. The officer came in, looked around, we were fine, but that's the stuff that scares me, or the
legal stuff.
Yeah, the legal stuff is terrifying. All the rest of the stuff, we really like that. I mean, the creepier the better, within reason.
Right.
And but nothing has come in that we're like, no, get that out of here. Unless it's something legal, of course. So.
Well, one of the questions I'm sure people ask you sometimes is, do you think any of the objects have some kind of attachment to them? We hear in the paranormal about possessed possessions.
People ask that all the time. We're dealing with, dead people stuff, and as antiques are also called. And I've had a lot of people ask me, and I told this one story. These two women were in the shop asking me, do things ever happen? I said, sometimes things will fall off the shelf, but not just fall off the shelf, they'll fall like across the room off the shelf. And like really, and within 10, 15 seconds, this Shriner's Fez falls across the room, and these two women look at me like, you did that. I said, I'm standing here to do anything. They got totally freaked out and left.
Well, the Fez is the most haunted of all the headwear. I mean, everyone knows that. That's pretty basic stuff.
But nothing really scary happens in there like that. So.
All right. But that's cool, and there's a backstory to everything. That's what makes the show so interesting too, is the learning the backstory of these strange and wonderful things. All right, let's start over here. Katrina, paranormal. You get to investigate some of this stuff, from homes to strange places. What makes you afraid when you're on an investigation?
Probably just not knowing what we're really dealing with, and being caught off guard. I think there was one case I worked on where I had a metal boat propeller fall off the wall towards my head, and so it didn't fall. Like as Mike was saying, it didn't fall. It flew on that 90-degree angle and then towards me. So just not being really prepared and letting your guard down.
You'd rather have I guess you'd rather have a fizz fall on your hat than battery. We'll share. That's good.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you to the Sands Casino. So you'd rather have a fez fall on your hat than a propeller, I would guess.
Absolutely.
All right. Bobby, let's take it to you now. Final destination, scary stuff. Your numbers punched. Why do you think we even like to be scared? When we go to movies, when we watch television, what is it about fear that tingles inside us?
Well, I think it just makes you feel alive in a way that our culture hasn't really given us the opportunity to feel that anymore. We're relatively safe. We live in a square box. We drive a square car to work. We sometimes watch a square TV. We maybe get our food out of a square box instead of in front of a square couch. So we don't really have an opportunity to experience nature and experience that thing that our ancestors they experienced lightning and they were like, well, God's mad at us, and go hide in a cave, and then, or whatever it was. So I think that's what movies kind of bring us back to, that ancient quality that is still inside of us. It's in our DNA.
Right.
Yeah.
That same question, please, to Michael Berryman. I mean, you've been doing horror movies for so long now. You're there to scare us. Do you feel something inside? I mean, what is that like?
Yes. Well, when I take a role, I like to take it to the limit. Number one, I believe that the purpose of horror film and horror writing is to take you to a place where you're challenged, and then when you walk outside and you look both ways before you get in your car, and it takes you out of the day-to-day. The real horror is on the news and the way we're not humane. So at least the bad guys, every role I've had, I get my just desserts, and I'm okay with that. I think that's the way it should be.
Right. So the bad guy gets the end. Now, Grant Wilson, I know you've done a zillion investigations, and I remember seeing a great clip of you walking out of a house, and there's a swinging gate in the front there. Jason Haas plays this clip on loop, where it swings and it hits and knocks you over, and you're right down on your face. Besides being knocked out, I mean, have you ever been afraid in an investigation?
The only thing I'm ever afraid of, because the ghosts don't scare me, it's living that are terrifying. And I've been in situations that are both funny, like a little woman that forgot she called us in and came chasing after us with a frying pan, and to being trapped in a town full of occultists that won't want you to leave. That's terrifying. Having a ghost is not. They're fine. But I think the thing that's appealing about fear is that there are two angles of it to me. There's the fear that you know you're actually safe if you're getting that thrill, okay? Like when you watch a horror movie, you're not in any danger, but you're afraid of what's going on there. That's fun. It gets the energy going, it gets you pumped. But then there's true fear, where it's the unknown. You don't know if you're gonna make it or not. And I've been in those situations, and I think as humans, we like fear because once we've survived, we're so much better for it. So it's like going to school really quick. You know?
No, that's a great point, and it's exhilarating, and it's burned into your permanent memory. But those are the memorable moments, right? More than anything, yeah, that fear. So let's get a little more paranormal. And Mike, I want to start with you. Have you had a paranormal experience, maybe attached to one of the items that came through your shop, or with the people you dealt with? Besides the fez flying on the
fez.
Right.
Yes and no. I mean, we always have this thing where things just go missing all the time, and then they just appear right there, and you look there many times, and it's kind of weird things. Often, like, it'll be a ring, or it'll be a key, or something that, and you look for it, and I know I've looked there 10 times. I keep looking there, and then it's right there, and you're like, did you put it? Ask my business partner or the people who work for us. Like, no. I mean, they could just be messing around, but like weird things just happen. It's like that, and also actually these guys are on the Ouija board stuff. People freak out at those things, but we've never had any trouble with that in the store.
You've had Ouija boards come through?
We get a lot of Ouija boards, but people get really freaked out. People, we've heard a lot of people get weird because don't touch that bad, burn that thing. But yeah, we don't do that, of course.
Right. No,
that'd be a sin.
Yeah, we've got like people like Bob Murch, who's at this event, that come in and
I don't make
thank you for them. There he is. He's out there. All right, Michael Berryman, I understand you've had your own paranormal experiences beyond portraying these things in movies. Sometimes things get real. Can you give us an example of something you've encountered that?
Yeah, this actually happened. I was in San Luis Obispo, which is 200 miles north of LA. I was in the University of California. I thought I had aspirations of throwing javelin well enough to be in the Olympics. That was a pipe dream, but I was practicing one afternoon, and I was getting pretty good, and I was running, jumping, and throwing this spear, and thinking, well, maybe a bronze. And after about 20 minutes, and I'd been psyched all week. I actually signed in to have the football field to myself, because trust me, when you're throwing javelin, there was a javelin in the auditorium, in the gym that was bent, and there's a big sign by the coach that says, "Don't leave your javelin sitting here," because this guy was a 9.3 sprinter, and it went through his leg, so his career was over. So I was determined to, be an excellent javelin thrower. Well, all my inspiration left. Clock tower struck 3 o'clock. Broad daylight. I go, okay, I give up. I put my stuff away. I'm walking down the street. The curb is here. My apartment is just around the corner, just out of my sight. A station wagon drives by. My father is the passenger. He looks ill. My mother is the driver. They don't even see me. I could reach out and touch the car. I chased it to the corner. It went out of my sight for about 15 seconds. I got to the corner, didn't see the car, went across the street to my apartment, asked my roommates and my parents to stop by. They said no. So I called my home in Santa Monica, 200 miles away. My mother picked up the phone and says, and there's no caller ID back then, and she says, "Hi, Michael." Now that intrigued me and frightened me at the same time. And I go, "What's going on? I just saw you and Dad." And he looked down and she goes, "Yeah, he might not make it. He did make it, but she was at the she just got a call from the doctors that he was gravely ill." And I go, "Why did I see you then?" She said, 3 o'clock, I was thinking of all you kids. And that really happened. Yeah. Without, it was just, didn't need an EMF meter for that one.
No, that's great. Now, Bobby, your character has certainly experienced supernatural, right? Have you had? Actually, can we start with that? What are the supernatural experiences your character has gone through on being human?
Well, being human, I was dating a zombie. And I didn't know it.
We've all been there.
We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
I guess we're all on spring break. It happens from time to time. So that was on that one. I was kind of kept outside of the supernatural loop. The group kind of kept Max out of the loop as far as the supernatural stuff goes. So I just had the day-to-day you know, zombie dating issues, you know, like
Still
I didn't
kind
bring
of
no roses, and like my dinner wasn't cooked right, whatever that kind of thing.
Have you had an experience outside of acting that you felt was beyond explanation?
I have had some things that were outside explanation. There was some stuff. Well, when I was a kid, I fell off a bunk bed and broke my neck.
Yikes.
Yeah, and I don't obviously remember much of the story, but I've heard the story from other people around, and I know that my dad came in the room, and he was really worried about it, obviously. whatever he had done, I think he released so much energy that it just brought me back. I think it was something like that. There's so much concern, so much faith that went out of his thing that it was just back. And that was kind of, that to me is, I think, it's a real, we have such healing power in us.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, and so like, it was real, to me that was just such a thing of faith that actually allowed it to happen, I think. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of a cool story.
Yeah,
I have a fracture, so I got in a car accident when I was 16, and I went and took an x-ray, and there is like, through like C5, I think, where like, you can see a fracture all the way through the vertebrae. Wow. And so yeah, I was like, oh cool, I broke my neck.
Your neck, so that's your Achilles heel, or at least I'm guessing this area is neck thing.
Fine.
Yeah.
It's fine now. Like I didn't know anything about it until I saw the x-ray, and then I heard stories over the years. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, though. I mean,
yeah, I'm alive.
That's great. I'm glad you're alive with us, Bobby. Thank you so much. All right, Katrina, can you think of a moment, a paranormal experience you had that really left an impact on you? Something that defined you?
Yeah, I mean, I think any paranormal experience you have does, just because it questions your faith, it questions your beliefs, and it questions everything we know as far as logic and what we know in the scientific world. But the one that really, stands out to me, I would say, is we were doing a case out near Pittsburgh, and the family was just experiencing really crazy things, like, levitation of, chairs with people sitting on them. And I was up in one of the rooms, and, we were filming, and nothing was happening. And for anybody who does investigations, it's boring for most of the time. And so the cameraman was in the doorway, and I was on a bed, like, looking towards him. And I was leaning my head back, and I was literally thinking just how bored I was and how much I wanted to go back to the hotel. And I look up, and there's a woman's arm from, her hand to right above her elbow, reaching around his shoulder. And it is, to this day, the one apparition that I've seen that I cannot find a natural explanation for. I've tried and tried and tried. And I didn't say anything to anybody, because I honestly thought I was crazy. And the next night, I'm on walkie-talkie, and I'm just listening, to the chatter. And all over the walkie-talkie, I hear, "Shaw got touched, Shaw got touched." He's freaking out. And Shaw was our audio engineer on the show. And we have it on camera where he's just sitting there, doing his thing, and he freaks out and just, like, whips around and starts, looking all around him. And when we spoke with him, he said he felt a woman's hand touch down on his shoulder. And that's something that the family has experienced unbeknownst to him. So for me, that was confirmation that what I saw was actually happening, and I wasn't crazy, and I had truly witnessed an apparition for me in front of me.
And how does that affect your own belief system? Once you see something to you, you don't have to prove it to others. You were there; it's validated to you. How does that affect your belief system about what comes after we die?
Actually, doing this work for so long, I used to always kind of think that, once we die, I always believed in heaven and hell, but that's where you went, and that was kind of it. And like, your job was done. But now I definitely believe it's the next stage of life. So as much as we have a purpose here in the physical world, we also have the same purpose in the afterlife, and it's just the next chapter.
Right. Okay, good. I want to talk more about spirituality. I want to check back in with my crew, Matt and Andrew. I'm hoping something's going okay up there. Guys?
Jeff, come in. Jeff, I think we figured out what this thing runs on. It runs on coal.
Coal? The mothership? This advanced thing? Really?
That's what it looks like. Our sensors have located a source nearby. We're on it.
All right, guys. Thank you. Coal. Well, that's good to know, because this is coal country. Who would have thought a spaceship runs on coal? Okay, so it's high-tech stuff. I guess someone's shoveling it in the engines down there, but who knew? All right. To our actor friends, spirituality, especially in dealing in supernatural and with being human in your character. Do you think, has that affected your spirituality? When you're around zombies, when you're around all these...
I hang around them constantly.
Yeah, right.
They're there.
But it's... Yeah, right. They're all around. Does it get you thinking, though, about, well, what really is out there beyond just, flesh and bones?
Well, I mean, personally, my belief is I believe that we're spiritual beings having a physical experience, having a human experience. And the more that I look into like the science of things, the more that because that's something that's really important to me. I love physics, I love cosmology, I love anything that, well, it's all interconnected, it all has a ebb and flow to it. And it's a really beautiful thing, the quantum entanglement process, how we're all interconnected to every single atom in the universe. And so the fact that I have 130 trillion atoms in my eye, and I can walk out at night and I can look back at a star that's where all those atoms were created, and a supernova had caused all those things to come to this part of the universe, and through the different forces of nature have actually caused life to come into it, and light has come into that, and electricity has come through that, and started to allow these forms to animate up, and you have this spirit that is sort of is the body, it's outside of the body, it's epiphenomena with the body, it's out by the sun. I mean, like it's just sort of this, we have no clue really when it comes down to it, because there's so many different theories, there's so many different things, and so I find that the more that I start to research and learn and read, which is a pretty important thing I find, my arrogance as to what I think I know kind of lessens, and then I start to go like, oh, I actually kind of know a little bit less, and I know a little bit less, and then I actually know nothing. I know maybe 1/4% of what's actually happening out there. Because, I mean, like this is one of the things that I think is fascinating. At every given moment, you're bombarded with 11 million bits of information per second. And our bodies, our brains, can only pick up 126 bits of that 11 million bits that's happening. So we can only pick up a percentage, not even a percentage of what's actually happening in a given moment. And that is based off of what our value systems are, our criteria, our emotional, interior life, like what we hold important. So if I hold money important, or if I hold cars important, or if I hold painting important, then my brain is just going to find that. But somebody else might hold something completely different, a completely different value system. And so that to me is just like, we're all the directors and creators of our own experience. And so it is whatever we make it. That's life. That's what we make it. So that's what I find to be pretty fascinating about our spiritual beliefs and everything else. So.
Grant Wilson's mind was just blown. No, Michael, I want to ask you a similar question. In doing this work, how has it affected your own spirituality? I mean, scaring so many people and...
Well, okay. The scary part is not what drives my how I know who and what I am about.
Sure.
You touched on something that's very interesting. My next door neighbor growing up as a kid was Thomas Edison's lab assistant. His name was Mr. Kidd. He was a professor at UCLA. He taught advanced grad students, and I always loved theoretical physics. I would take a concept over to his garage across the street from mine, and we would do the math, and then he would do a practical version of that experiment. Now, what scares me more than a scary film or slipping and falling is every breath, every heartbeat is a prayer, like a drum. If you go to any native culture, I like to keep things really, really simple. And you brought up a very interesting point. At university, I took a class, and we had a little bantam book, 134 pages approximately, and they said, this is your entire course. This is your A. You come to class or not, this is what you have to regurgitate and learn it. It was a book called Understanding Media by Marshall McLuhan. Marshall McLuhan's theory is the following. A long time ago, we didn't have a lot of really ornate tools. Only the wealthy could have a book because it was scribe, parchment. Then somebody came along and did the Gutenberg press. That was like the internet. It blew people's minds. Okay. And then as each, you can only farm so many bushels per acre. Now we can do almost way too much. Now we have Monsanto, it's scary as hell. What his point is, imagine we're on a freeway. This is way back in 1969. The information highway, we're all in a car, we're going down the highway. Okay, as technology speeds the process, we're going harder on the accelerator, and we get more and more information. Now, we're going faster and faster and faster. The car's running amok. We can only process what we see in the rear view mirror. My father was a world-renowned neurologist, and he was a co-writer with a Russian neurologist, and that's a whole other program. But, it's easy. No, that was true, actually. But, so, I believe that people say heaven's up here, it's there, it's over there. I saw pictures from the Hubble the first time, and I said, wow, look at that beautiful blue orb. I don't understand human beings being unhuman. And there is no heaven, there is no hell, the universe goes on forever. And yeah, I'll drop a dime on a book. It's called the Urantia Writings. Read it. I think it's highly recommendable. So I think spirituality and humanity is manifested by action. And people go, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Well, yes, you did. Because intent is the lock and load. The intent is the trigger pull. So be careful what you ask for and know why you engage your will to your actions.
Right.
And stop looking in the rearview mirror.
Thank you. Grant, same thing. I know we've talked offline about spirituality and things like that. How has all those years of ghost hunting on TV and off affected your spirituality?
Everyone, if I can kind of take that a different way, everybody asks me, they think I'm in the business of proving there's an afterlife, and that's not what I'm doing. I'm in the business of finding the truth of what goes on in people's homes, and making them comfortable, okay? But I really think that I hope that we can advance technology to where we can learn enough about the paranormal, about our own fears, in order to be able to help those who want to be helped. Not everyone who has a fear wants to get over it, like Steve Spiders. But anyway, what I'm getting at is I hope we never are able to answer the question of our origins, where we go when we die. I don't think we want to know those. I don't think we should. Because as soon as we do, it fundamentally changes our whole society. Okay? The fact that we don't know sometimes drives people. Like your father, when you broke your neck, it was his faith and hope that something was there that may have saved your life. Just that energy that he put out there, okay? If we knew for certain that you were fine and everything, he'd just be like, okay, well, I'll wait and I'll see him when I die. Or maybe people would commit mass suicide if they knew. Because then you just jump, my life sucks, I'm gonna jump off the bridge and I'll be fine. And I think that as far as spirituality goes, my experience has been that there is no harm in being spiritual. People get made fun of it for being spiritual. I have very many, I'm a very spiritual guy, but I believe that there should be no one should be telling anyone else how to be spiritually. It's a relationship between you and your maker, if you believe there's one or not. It's between you, and that you should chase spirituality, and it should be a goal in everyone's life, and no one should be judging anybody else, much less committing wars or anything over religion. But, I mean, I'm getting convoluted, I have a tendency to babble, but I get too much to say, now it's time, I see the clock ticking.
Right. Thank you, Grant. All right, Mike Zohn, same question to you. I know the antiques business is not exactly spiritual, but enlighten us.
Right, well, I've never been a spiritual person, never really believed in God and heaven, although you like hell. I like the idea of that. It sounds like fun, actually. It's,
all our friends will be there.
I find that a lot more interesting. I guess you can't really have one without the other.
Really big at the metal, aren't you?
No, but the weird thing does happen at this shop where people will, their desire, they'll leave on things. I'll have an item that's been there for, it could be there for years, no one's even sniffed at it, and someone comes in and they're like, oh my God, this item, and they love it, and they look at it, and they pick it up, and they touch it, and everything. They put it down, and within 10 minutes, someone else will come in and say, oh my God, this thing is amazing, I have to have it. Like they leave their desire on it, their want. Is that the spirit? Is it the energy? It's hard to say. Is it a really freaky coincidence that keeps happening over and over and over again? Who knows?
Right, that's what all this is about. All right, guys, I got to check in one more time with the mothership, see what's going on. Guys, did you find the fuel or what?
Oh yeah, we found that a while ago, Jeff. We're already at the bar. We weren't going to bother waiting for you.
That is mutiny, seriously.
Deal with it.
Oh, God. These guys, it's so hard to get good help. I swear to God, it's impossible to get good help. All right, guys, we got to take off. Head back to the mothership. See you at the bar. Thank you to the panel. Stay on.